Melissa Calusinski, a daycare worker, was accused of causing the tragic death of 16-month-old Benjamin Kingan after a severe head injury occurred under her watch. The interrogation reveals a troubling mix of confusion, frustration, and eventual confession. Calusinski, with a reported low verbal IQ, initially denied any wrongdoing, but after hours of questioning, she confessed to having slammed the child to the ground, which ultimately led to his death. In the opening phase of the interrogation, detectives focus on building a rapport with Melissa. They ask her about her routine and work environment to draw out her memory of events leading up to the tragedy. Melissa's answers reflect a general compliance with the daycare's routine, offering no signs of distress or suspicion at this point. As a forensic expert, one might observe Melissa's calm demeanor and cooperation. This stage serves as a tactic to lull her into a false sense of security, making it easier for the detectives to challenge her narrative later. In forensic psychology, this stage is crucial because the suspect is more likely to be truthful when the pressure is low. Melissa's cognitive limitations may play a role here, as she attempts to follow the conversation, but might not fully grasp the implications of her responses.
When a baby goes to sleep, because it's a lot easier to control them. So why wouldn't you guys just let him keep on sleeping in his chair? I mean,
because it was just getting towards the end of the day, and
can he sleep there to the end of the day? I mean, wouldn't he be
we had to transfer the kids. That was the reason.
Transfer them to what?
Like, put them in a different classroom.
Most parents want their child to stick to a schedule. If they are allowed to sleep in daycare at all, they will stay awake all night. So many daycares try to ensure that children only sleep during specific nap times.
When we went down.
Was he in this classroom the whole day, Ben?
The classroom I was in?
Yeah.
I thought you made a comment earlier that the reason you tried keeping him awake was because the parents were concerned that
Yeah, that too. If he did fall asleep though, we would let him, but he can't sleep up until 5. After 5, he had to be awake because the mom would pick him up.
But this was at like 3:45, right?
It was like 4 o'clock, yeah.
So why wouldn't you just let him sleep till 5?
Because we were getting ready to start doing diapers too, and then we had to bring over the kids because they told us as soon, as you lose another kid, they tapped on the window. They're like, as soon as you lose another kid, blah 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 or whatever, you can start bringing them over. So we're like, okay, but we're gonna do diapers first. So we waited a little bit and we were playing because usually he sometimes falls asleep, but he really doesn't. He'll close his eyes and open them and just sit there and relax. So that's why I've been keeping him awake.
When you went up to him, was there anything coming out of his mouth? Or?
No.
So you just went up to him and said, Ben, Ben, and he didn't respond?
No.
And you said you shook his arm?
Yeah.
And how did you know that he wasn't just sleeping real sound?
Because he would have woken up.
Why? Were you shouting his name?
No, he would have heard me. Because at other times when he would fall asleep on the chair, he would wake up.
If you said his name?
Yeah, or I'd be like, Ben, Ben, and his eyes will open. They really would. And then after that, give it a few seconds, he'd probably try and fall asleep again. But that was why I did the call. I'm still trying to even think how he even got the fracture. I'm still clueless.
Right.
I wish I could tell you. I have no idea.
That's the same question we're trying to get answered.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did you look up anything on your computer at home about injuries to children's heads, or if we
I didn't know anything.
Subpoena your record,
yeah.
Would we be able to find out? Would we see anything about you researching anything about infant deaths or anything in the last couple days?
Yeah, you wouldn't.
And we're not going to find out from your boyfriend that, you know, you told him that you made a mistake and you accidentally dropped Ben.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to find that out?
No.
Because if that's the case,
Yeah, no.
you got to tell us, Melissa.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're not out to hurt you.
I know.
We don't want to hurt you, honestly.
Melissa, what if Nancy accuses you of doing this? Then what?
I'm going to be questionable. I'm going to be like, why? What did I do? You know? I've been trained really well to actually do this. And I understand she's been there, but I've been trained really well. And I handle even little infants younger than he does myself.
No, I'm just saying, what if she facilitates, you know...
And says that I did it?
Yeah, so, hey, this is what I saw.
I'm going to be like, well, why? Like, how? What did I actually do? You know? What is
So there's no doubt in your mind that if she makes an accusation that she's not going to have anything to back that up with. No doubt in your mind that if when Nancy, or she's being questioned right now, says, look, I'm going to come up front with you guys. Melissa, you know, she made a mistake. I saw it. I didn't know what to do. This is completely out of character for me. I should have said something, but it's her responsibility. She was in there the whole time with them. Yeah, this is what she did. Then what? Where are we at?
I would have been like, I would tell you. I would straight up tell you that I did make a mistake, and I was too afraid to say something, you know. I didn't know it would actually hurt him, and I would have came clean and even said to Miss Beth and Miss Sandy, here's what happened. And that this is what, you know, his head hit the floor or wherever his head got hit, and I would have said, I am completely so sorry. I didn't mean to do this at all. That's what I would have said, and I would have came clean. I wouldn't hide nothing from no one. If I knew I was doing something wrong, or if I did something wrong, I would go up and I would talk to them.
Calusinski is adamant that she would be honest if there had been an accident, but it is an assertion that she has no way of proving. The detectives will begin to become harsher with their questions. I recently released another exclusive Patreon video exposing a chilling incident where a man unleashed his rage by committing a shocking act of violence against an innocent 15-year-old. This heart-wrenching video shows interrogation of Cody, the man behind this horrible crime. Watch the full video and more at patreon.com/strangerstoriesplus.
Because it would make me feel better.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that you did something wrong. I mean, there's sometimes accidents happen, and I mean, they're unavoidable.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been in car accidents. Sometimes stuff's just unavoidable. So if that's the case, it's not like you did something wrong, but we need to get to the bottom of this. And I'm sure you understand, because if you had a child, you'd want us to be doing the same thing.
I'd be questionable and trying to figure out what's going on.
Right, and you'd want to know if you said, you know, you left your child in a daycare system and somebody ran into an accident, and that led to your son, you know, maybe he had some kind of special skull, or maybe he had previous injuries, I don't know. He was sick a couple days prior, but maybe this little accident is what caused it. It would just give them some closure, and it would help us clear this case out.
Yeah, we're not saying we don't know if there was a pre-existing condition and something, Sean's point is something may have aggravated it. You know, there are strange physical anomalies, you know, things with people that sometimes you don't know. I mean, there's a thing out there where certain adults have skulls that are like eggshells.
Okay.
And they go around their whole life without ever having a head trauma or a head injury. And then one sudden, hit or fall or hit to the head, and suddenly they're dead.
Ben's head was shaped like a light bulb, which may have contributed to his death. This possibility was not considered until after Calusinski's conviction.
You know, there could be a pre-existing condition with him. The reason we're asking you about any other injuries that you may have noticed is that this is something that may have started and then been amplified. Okay. It's sort of like aggravating an old injury, and that may also give off the appearance of intensity.
Yeah. And like you said that too with the injury, he has had bumps on his head, but that wasn't from
I
us.
know that.
Mom even said I seen him. Billy seen him.
Was it ever documented?
No, because he would do them at home. Like he would do it with Mom around.
Who else seen it?
Me, Wendy.
The mom would tell you he had.
Yeah, she even told the doctors at the hospital that, with these bumps on his head, it's
How
from
do you
him
know
hitting
that?
his head. I was told. And,
By who?
by the director. Beth and everybody, we were all talking, and Billy even asked me, they're like, have you noticed about the bump on the head? And I'm like, no, I haven't.
When was this?
This was at the hospital when they were all at the hospital with
Yep.
Beth.
Wednesday or?
Yeah, Wednesday. And they asked me, they're like, have you noticed about the big bump on his head? I'm like, no, I haven't. I didn't recognize it. But I have noticed, though.
Did he have any bruises on his face?
No, none.
None that day?
None. Absolutely none.
You would have noticed?
I would notice if he did. He has really light skin.
So who was involved in this discussion at the hospital?
Well, Beth went there because they wouldn't let her ride in the ambulance. So she had to take her own vehicle, and this is what she found out. And Billy even was there.
Who?
Billy? He even said that they saw
Who's
bumps.
Billy?
That's her husband.
Okay.
As the interrogation progresses, subtle pressure is applied. Detectives begin to press Melissa on details, asking her to recount specific moments of the day when Ben Kingan was injured. At this point, Melissa sticks to her story that everything was normal and that no suspicious incidents occurred. The detective's technique here is one of gentle persistence, where Melissa's memory and narrative are questioned repeatedly to create cognitive dissonance. This technique is commonly used to tire out suspects, especially those with limited cognitive abilities, making them more susceptible to suggestion. Forensic experts would note how Melissa's demeanor starts to show signs of stress, although she continues to maintain her innocence.
He even said that he saw a big bump on his head. And they have asked me, and I was like, I have not seen it at all. I didn't even recognize it. Every time he would throw his tantrum fits, it would be on the ground. Like the carpet, not on the tile.
You would have noticed if he threw one that day, right?
Yeah,
And he did it, you said.
no.
Because the way we're figuring is, like, thinking maybe an accident, but it would be an accident that someone would know about. They would
Yeah.
have to literally, and I don't even think they could do this, drop him, hit his head against something while they're walking through a door frame, or literally grab him and hit him up against a wall, or hit him on the top of the head with something.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything. I give you my word on that one. I haven't. I have not seen him hit anything. I have not seen anybody pick him up, literally, and hit him against the wall or anything. If I would have, I report it right away.
Did you ever report Nancy's behavior when you said she's rough with the kids and throws them into the crib?
No, she doesn't throw them into the crib. She places them on the cots. She wouldn't throw them.
But you said, sometimes she gets aggravated.
Sometimes she gets, yeah, she
You said
does,
she
frustrated.
handles them roughly.
Not roughly, but sometimes you could see the frustration in her face.
But you said
Right.
sometimes, like, she won't support their head.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's almost like whiplash. I mean, if they're not supporting their
If
kids.
they're like this, yeah, like, and then she's just like holding them on the outer side, and how she holds them sometimes. And then Ben, when you also too, here's the thing, when we would have to change his diaper, he's like literally, you would have to like carry and support his head because he throws his head back he was doing that quite a bit this week. In the beginning, he was just like, didn't even want anything to do. He was just like this. He didn't like it when we picked him up. Changed his diaper.
Who changed his diaper
I did.
the entire day?
Throughout the entire day. I changed him in the afternoon. I believe I changed him in the second before that last time. And that was it.
Prior to Nancy leaving to sanitize the plates, you said about an hour prior to that she was alone with the kids for a little bit.
Because I went to use the bathroom, but that was when all the kids were still in seating and snack.
Besides for that, did you step out of the room at all?
No, not even.
To go talk to your sister?
Nope.
Did your sister come in throughout the day?
She was in and out through the day. Yes, she was.
Did anyone ever report the way Nancy ever handled the kids there, or?
No, I thought they already talked to her, to tell you the truth, because I wasn't there that long. I haven't been there that long.
Who do you think talked to her?
Probably Sandy.
Why?
I just had a curiosity that Sandy would have talked to, or someone like Wendy would have talked to her, or someone else that would talk to her already.
Talk to her and say that's not how you handle the kids?
Just to, like, I know you're frustrated sometimes, but...
Why would you say Wendy? Is she, like, the type of person who would say something to her? Or?
No, it's her classroom. So, if...
Does Nancy a helper, too? Or
yeah, she comes in at 9, and she starts breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Around, like, 9:10. That 9:10.
Has Wendy ever said anything to you?
No.
She hasn't?
No.
I mean, when I started, and when my partner started as police work, other people that have been doing the job for a while, they'll tell you, well, don't do stuff this way, do it that way.
They were telling me to, like, help out. She was telling me sometimes to, like, help out, and then for art, or if they eat and stuff like that, she would explain. She's like, we don't do it this way. Yeah, she said that, but nothing other than that, no.
Calusinski finds herself in a corner after her earlier statement about a coworker. She can't explain why she didn't make some sort of complaint if the other woman was being rough with the children, and it is going to look strange if no one else will back up her claims.
Well, Melissa, just this whole time thing and this injury to his head was when you were alone with him. I mean, I don't know how you could convince us that he did.
He was sitting, yeah. He was sitting. Like, there was nothing around him or anywhere possibly that he could have hit his head. I'm clueless. I don't know.
I mean, could he have dropped out from a changing table when you were changing his diaper and you're afraid to tell us?
No, I would never do that. I am not going to be afraid to tell you. If I dropped somebody from the change table, I would be stoked and crying, freaking out, but I would go and tell.
But sometimes people make a mistake, and they don't want to tell somebody because this economy sucks. They don't want to lose their job and say, hey, listen, I just dropped a kid. So then they're going to put that in your record. You're going to get in trouble. You might be afraid, and you might be like, well, kids fall all the time. He might be okay. And then this happens. We could understand that happening. Because you're afraid to tell someone at the time, you don't want to lose your job.
The only thing I kind of feel guilt a little bit about is that I wish I could have done a little bit more and help out more because of the fact my sister was doing everything, because I literally felt guilty because I wasn't doing anything. I just made a call and I was just young.
That's helpful.
But that's
sometimes the most important thing you could do is to summon more advanced medical personnel. That's the most important thing, number one. That's how we're trained too. The most important thing you could do is get on the phone so more people come that know more than we do. So you did do something to help them. But we don't want you to be afraid to tell us because you were afraid you're going to lose your job and you thought it would be okay because you see kids fall every day. You probably see a kid fall every day, literally, like fall down. We don't want you to be afraid to tell us that because at the end of this investigation, we're going to have so many people working on so many specials. We're going to know exactly probably what caused the injury. Okay. Right now, we got a team. They're probably closed down the nursery by now. I don't know if you're probably not aware of that. They're probably closed it down by now, but we got a team of evidence technicians, and they're sketching
crime scene investigators, CSIs.
They're sketching the room, the floors, and at the end of this, might be not today or tomorrow, they're going to know exactly what caused this injury to his head. I mean, because there's certain things that could cause a certain injury.
Yeah.
You know, we actually have very good photographs of his injury.
Okay.
And then, even though it's
was
not
it
always,
in the back of the head or in the front of the head?
That's what he asked.
I'm just kind of curious. Maybe I could rethink, you know, and maybe see if it was from the back of the head. Maybe he, you know, Crystal probably, when she was doing CPR, when she picked him up and put him on the change table, maybe he hit his head really good because it bounced up a little bit. Maybe that could have been the reason when she put him down. You know what I mean? So, like, for his head to kind of bounce a little bit, but, like, she didn't bounce him, like, hard when she put him down. She was doing the CPR. I made sure I had the kids stand back. And I got all the kids out of the way. Because like I was saying earlier, I had the kids in the kitchen. So maybe, you know, that's what could have happened when she was performing
Did
CPR.
you see his head bounce?
A little, yes, I did.
And she was only trying to help.
Yes, she was trying to help him.
What's the table made out of? What is
It actually had it was our changing table. It had a man on it though.
A slight bump to the head when being laid on a changing table would not be lethal for a baby with an average skull or no previous injuries. If Ben did have an abnormality or a previous injury, it is at least within the realm of possibility that a small bump at the wrong angle could have triggered something. Before we move forward, I want to extend my thanks for watching. This video today has no sponsor, so if you're enjoying it, subscribing helps the channel grow. You can also check out my second channel, Stranger Crimes, after this video.
Oh,
And
mat.
then underneath it though was hard.
But he would have hit his head on the mat, right?
Yeah, but it was the mat
That
was
wouldn't
kind of
have
hard.
caused this injury.
That's the only thing though I'm thinking.
Is there any way that an accident might have happened and you were afraid to tell someone because you thought everything would be okay? You
Yeah, no accidents whatsoever.
No.
I never, yeah.
Between the 20-30 minute mark, the emotional weight of the interrogation begins to shift. Detectives introduce the possibility that Melissa may have unintentionally harmed the child, presenting it as an understandable but tragic accident. This method is designed to lower Melissa's defenses by offering a narrative where she is not a bad person, but made a horrible mistake. Forensic analysts would recognize this as a pivotal moment in the interrogation, as Melissa's vulnerability becomes apparent. Her previous confidence begins to wane, and the detectives capitalize on this by continually offering her an out in the form of an accidental death. This aligns with the psychological technique of offering a face-saving way for the suspect to admit guilt without feeling fully culpable for the consequences.
And what about him hitting his head and, you're not paying that much attention to it and then being re-aggravated on that changing table? Could that have happened?
That could have. With him hitting his head, yes. But I made sure the clear way when I would pick him up, because when I changed him from a nap, he wasn't acting like that. He was fine. He let me change his diaper and everything. But when I placed him, and when I placed even every kid now in my room, I hold their head and I gently put them on the changing table so that they wouldn't hit anything. And I made sure of that. But when he would seriously do this, and then he would try to put him down, sometimes he would hit his head on the changing table, on the mat though. And he would whine and cry because he didn't want to get his diaper changed. So
it's safe to say 45 minutes before he started losing consciousness, the only people in this room were you and Nancy.
yes.
So if someone did this to him, it would be safe to say that the only people that could have done something to him would be either you or Nancy. Is that a good, if it happened within 45 minutes of this?
I agree, but I don't even know what I could have done to make him hit his head.
But you wouldn't, like I said, this is a substantial injury. if he hit his head to cause this injury, you would know.
I would.
You would know. But not saying you meant it to happen, but you would know. Because I know you're very careful and everything, but I'm very careful with my son, and I'm paranoid because of all the shit that we go through and we deal with. But I mean, I've hit my son's head, to tell you the truth, on a door frame once, carrying him through. I mean, it happened. It was an accident. I didn't mean. I thought.
Oh, and he's done that too.
But there's stuff I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to believe that there's never any accidents, or I'm almost worried when he's on the changing table because they flay around so much and they go crazy. And I'm afraid sometimes when I get his clothes, sometimes I have to put him down on the floor because I know they'll jump right off it in 1 second. They're so quick, babies. When I put him down, he turns on his stomach, I swear to God, in 2 seconds. And he thinks it's a joke. He thinks it's a game. So it's hard for me to believe that there's never no accidents because I'm only watching one, and you love these kids, I know you do, but when it's your own kid, you'll see someday you're really, 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 there's even more love for the child.
No.
And when that stuff happens to me, even with one kid, I can't imagine how someone could take care of 8 kids and there not be mishaps. I mean, it just has to happen.
Yeah, if I had seen any accident, I do report it. I do. I say something. I let them know. And I even ask.
Have you ever reported an accident before?
Not there, no. Because I've never.
You've been there for a year and 2 months?
I've been at the other place.
I mean for this company.
For this company, yeah. I've reported accidents.
Like what type of accidents?
Bumps on the head.
Like from what?
What do you mean?
Like, did they fall?
Yeah, when they fall or they clench together and there would be a mark literally on their heads. And I would report it. And I get an accident report and I fill it out. And then when I'm done filling it out, I sign it, I give it to my boss. They look over it, and then they sign it, and then we have to have the parent's signature. I've done that a lot.
Sometimes when places make people do all that stuff, it's a great system, but it's a pain in the butt. Because you're like, shit, he just hit his head, he'll be fine. This kid hits his head every day. I don't want to be filling out reports. I'm the only one in here. I gotta watch these kids. So you continue to watch them thinking everything will be fine.
I check too for bumps and everything. I feel their foreheads to make sure and everything.
Well, I mean, this was real apparent, these marks that he had. I mean, but I really, Melissa, I need you to.
I know.
I'm like.
The detectives keep asking Calusinski if there was an accident, while at the same time saying that it was too violent to have been an accident. They're trying to force her to give them the answer they want to hear.
If like you were like a family member, I would like want to scream and say, Melissa, if you're involved in any way, please let these guys know. I would like to tell you that we're not here to hurt you, especially if it was an accident. We're not. A lot of people are afraid of the police. There's no need to be afraid of us.
I know.
We're here to get to the bottom of this. If it was your child, we would do the same thing. We're not trying to hurt you here.
I know.
We don't think you intentionally went in and hurt this kid. I swear I don't think that.
I wouldn't.
But I do think an accident happened. And
I agree.
And we need to know.
That's what I want to know though, because every time I've held him, he's been safe. He was head resting on my shoulder or in my arms sometimes, and then we'll walk around, he'll dance with me, we'll, do dancing, but I have never in my life that I've been there, even ever, would seriously do that to him. Because I even know for a fact too that toddlers at his age, they are sensitive. They still have growing skulls. Their heads are still sensitive, just like really baby ones, small tiny ones. And I understand that their heads are sensitive. But I would never.
We're not saying intentionally.
I know, and I'm
just saying if there was an accident,
I would say something.
I can understand why someone wouldn't. There's stuff that we're supposed to do, like at work, and it's a lot of protocol, and sometimes, if you hurt yourself, you're supposed to fill out all these forms, and you gotta go to an accident review board, and it's just like, man, I don't want to deal with all this BS. I'll be fine. I don't want to say anything. So I understand how that goes, but I want you to understand that after today, you know, we might have to talk to you about a couple things, but after today, it's going to be really hard for you to say, you know what, I was thinking and I dropped him and I forgot about it. You know, it doesn't seem like an accident then. But if you told us today, listen, detectives, I was changing him. He was going crazy. He fell out of the changing table. He seemed fine, so I didn't say nothing. There was no one else in the room, and I couldn't leave. I monitored him. He seemed fine. All of a sudden, I seen him shut his eyes. I decided that at that time, I've got to get help, that he wasn't fine. If that's the case, please tell us. Please don't help yourself.
I am telling you the truth. I did not drop him.
Or
anything, nothing serious.
did you hit him in the head?
Nope.
Did you do anything to contribute to any of these marks on his head?
No.
Nothing?
I swear, nothing.
Okay.
When you say nothing serious, what do you define as serious?
That I would never put my hands on him. I don't even recall putting or hitting him. Even if he was crying or whining so bad, I get a little frustrated, yeah, because he's screaming, but I would deal with it. I would be like, you know, it's understandable, but I wouldn't pick him up any other type of way.
Melissa, you said you don't recall. I mean, it's a lot different than...
Yeah, I know. I don't pick up objects. I don't want to throw them.
But you just said you don't recall.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. It's hard for me to explain.
That means that there's a possibility that...
I did not, but I'm telling you right now, though, I did not pick up anything. I did not pick up anything. I would never, ever...
What do you mean, pick up anything?
I wouldn't pick up anything to hit a child. It's not my child.
I never said you did pick up anything to hit a child.
I didn't, though. If that comes to the case, if people are saying that...
Calusinski has just made things worse for herself by bringing up a possibility that the detectives haven't mentioned. Using an object to strike Ben has never been brought up, but now it sounds as if she is trying to hide something.
I didn't.
Why would somebody say that?
You know what? I don't know. I don't pick up things. I make sure the kids are safe. I make sure they're taken care of, changed, healthy, as long as they're, you know, they're well taken care of.
Melissa, did somebody pick something up and hit him in the head with it?
No. I did not see anything and pick it. The kids, they have like a plastic bat, little kid. He hits like things, that's it.
Could someone have hit him in the head with the plastic bat?
The children had it.
But would a worker
No.
hit a kid? Did you lose your patience and hit him?
No.
You sure?
Yep. Positive.
Because if you did, it's understandable.
No, I know.
It's very freaking stressful dealing with one baby. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I never knew it till I had my own because I never watched babies in my life. But it fucking makes you lose your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the best words. I'm not trying to not be professional. You can lose your mind sometimes because they'll go screaming. You're trying to get other stuff done, and that's only one. So I can understand if someone all of a sudden they lose their mind for a second and they hit a kid.
By this stage, Melissa is visibly distressed, and the detectives have honed in on inconsistencies in her story. She has shifted from denying any wrongdoing to expressing uncertainty about what exactly happened. Finally, under the relentless questioning and pressure, Melissa admits that she might have slammed the child to the ground in frustration, aligning with the detective's hypothesis. This moment reflects what forensic experts often see in cases where suspects with limited cognitive capacity are pressured into confessing. Melissa's confession may not stem from a place of clarity, but rather from a need to end the interrogation. Her limited understanding of the long-term consequences of her admission is apparent.
I totally understand why someone would do that.
Yeah.
We've had incidents where people just flat out black out, and the next thing you know, I mean, because they get aggravated, they get frustrated. We had a lot of that with husbands and wives and domestic arguments, parents with their children,
Yeah.
and they'll just flat out sit there and say, I just blacked out. And then, you know, when I finally realized what happened, you know, I composed myself and they just went on from there.
No, never blacked out.
Did you ever hit a kid there?
No.
No?
Nope.
What are the other workers? Are they ever going to say you hit someone?
No, they would never say that.
Why?
They've worked with me. I never put a hand on them.
Did you ever scream at a child?
I would be like, no, not nice, that's it.
Did you ever scream?
Scream, yeah. Scream, yeah. But not like scream, like violently scream. I'd be like, no, not nice,
Right.
That's it.
Do you scream because you're losing patience?
Sometimes, yes. But if it gets out of control, when it gets out of control, yeah. I will say, no, not nice. And, I get a little, that little madness, but it's to a point where, I'm telling myself, calm down, they're kids, they're babies, they'll cry all the time, it happens. And
in this situation, too, a good thing that was pointed out is how we think like maybe the person who did this didn't intend for the kid to get hurt, or they didn't may strike him in the head or hit him in the head with anything. It could have been as easy as something saying no and like pointing at him and actually like hitting his chest and him falling back and hitting his head on the wall.
Yeah.
That's something that we think could happen, and we know how kids move around and how easily someone doesn't realize how strong they are, and when they say no to a kid or something like that, they could fall back and hit a wall. Because something like that seems real plausible in this incident.
okay.
Did something like that happen? Did you do that? Did you push him into a wall?
Mm-mm.
No?
Nope.
What do you think should happen to somebody who intentionally tries to hurt a child?
The consequences that Calusinski thinks are appropriate are little more than a slap on the wrist, which is the sort of punishment most people suggest when they are guilty.
They should get talking to and figure out why. Why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to do this? What did he ever do to you?
Right, get some counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are issues that are counselable issues, they're correctable mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing we're getting at, is that, I'm going to go back and say that we don't believe that this was an intentional act, that somebody got in their car, Wednesday morning or whatever, or, even Sunday and started thinking this through and saying, I really had it with this kid, and when I go into work the next time and he's there, this is, I'm just fed up and this is what I'm going to do. No way that happened. But what we do firmly believe is that people are human. They get to a point where they're either not thinking clearly, and make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of instances out there now where people, just because they're tired, are crashing cars because they're working so many hours in that. Is that intentional? No. But they had the same level of intoxication as somebody who was drunk. That's literally a statistic. It's, if you're awake for like 17 hours straight, you're like a 0.50, which is right near the legal limit. Something that you can't control. All right. So if there's an error made, you can't control the error. It's made. Okay. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it may not seem like it's a tremendous issue. Okay. It may not seem like, let's say in this case, something may have happened. It didn't seem like it was a major injury.
Okay. Because
you don't know with kids.
Yeah.
Realistically, we were talking a little bit this morning about a case that I had handled where a child literally was in a carrier. Okay, and that's why we're sitting here going, look, we understand that you're looking out for yourself. We understand also that maybe given 24 hours of rolling this back in time, that if we were there and we talked to you almost immediately, that people, when they're in an incident like this, traumatic like that, they really, really want to tell you immediately what happened. Police officers involved in shootings, because we investigate those, officer wants to tell you right away what happened. He wants to get that off of his chest and say, you know what, the guy pointed a gun at me. I want everyone to know that what I did and why I killed him was justifiable. But we don't interview them right away, so they have to sit and they have to wait. And that causes some issues. That causes them to manipulate And it's like it's a human reaction for you or anybody else to contrive a story or think things to put yourself in a better light. Mm-hmm. And it's very, and I'm not insulting you, please. Don't take this as an insult. It's almost amateurish, and it creates the opposite effect. It makes you look like you're concealing something.
Like I'm hiding something?
Correct. That's it. It makes you look like you're hiding. So,
no matter how the detectives have presented the different possibilities, Calusinski refuses to change her story.
If you take an incident that was not intentional and it escalated into something, worse, you're not a doctor, you don't have a crystal ball in your hand to predict what could happen.
Okay.
Right? And now all of a sudden, we have no, but we're saying yes, there's a medical factor. Something did happen, okay? And you're very smart. Let me tell you, I'm going to compliment you because you brought up a couple of points in our conversation, of points I've given you about skulls and kids, things like that. And that's great. But don't base your story on things I'm telling you. I'm trying to be honest and factual with you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm laying things out here. I'm not bringing props in here and laying things down and saying, we've got fingerprints and we've got that. I'm being completely honest with you. We find out, because we do this all the time, that lying to a person on our end doesn't achieve anything. Because if we get caught in a lie, our credibility is crap. You're not going to believe a thing I say as soon as you catch me in a lie, right? You got to look at it from our perspective. That's the way we feel about you. It's all about credibility and all about honesty.
Okay.
It's like God forgives, we don't. Because once you've told a lie or continue to escalate that, it's worse and worse and worse and worse. And then at some point, when this all comes to fruition, and it will, it's either going to be through you, if it's through somebody else, and it will, by day's end, it will be, it would preferably be you who tells us exactly what happened and put yourself in a positive light. Don't let somebody else railroad you down the river, or don't let these exigent facts paint you into a corner. We believe that something happened. We just want to, the problem with child victims is their children. They can't tell us.
Because they can't speak.
They can't. And now in this case, forever. Okay? But then we have to rely on everything else. We have to rely on science. That talks to us. Okay? But that only gives us a portion of the fact and the truth. Science can't tell us human emotion. Science can't tell us luck or probability or chances or bad luck or accidents. Science can't tell us all that to exact details. Only the person who was involved in that can tell us that. And that's why we're really sitting here frustrated a little bit, because I hope you understand, we're trying to give you every single opportunity there is. Every single opportunity there is to talk to us and clear the air on this thing and just put it to rest. So we can get on the phone, we can call our bosses in Lincolnshire and say, okay, Melissa's been straightforward with us. This is exactly what happened. Here's the timeline. We are convinced that this is what happened during this timeline, and we're done here. Okay. That's all we're asking. If there was an injury that occurred, and by the time your sister, who, I'm telling you, in good faith, ran in there and tried to give CPR, bad people don't do that. They don't care. They walk away. They run away from that. They don't want anything to do with that, right? Bad people don't have a conscience. You know what I mean? The word sociopath or psychopath, it's one and the same. Those are people who have no emotions. They operate physically and mentally every day like normal people. You couldn't tell them, but inside they're dead. They have no feelings at all. You could not get away with that working in that environment. That's not you. You've got emotions. I saw your emotions here. You got upset. You have a conscience, right? You can express love. You can express hate. I'm sure you've got a love relationship with your boyfriend, your family. You probably love your sister. I think she got really worried and concerned about you leaving today. She loves you, okay? you have a lot of people supporting you, and you have a whole life ahead of you. How old are you? 21?
22.
22. Do you need to carry a burden like this for the next 60 years or whatever? Nobody does. And you know what? It's this type of thing that eats you up, and it's this type of thing that no matter what haunts your reputation, because there's always a question mark.
Calusinski may not realize it yet, but the detectives believe she is lying. If she doesn't make some type of confession soon, their accusations will become more pointed, and they will use scare tactics in an attempt to get her to break down.
There's always that question mark hanging over you. You know, we experience it in our line of work. If somebody accuses us of taking a bribe, even though I know I didn't do it, it's the fact that it's out there. You know, and you want to shout it at the world and say, look, here are the facts. This isn't what happened. I want to be clear that I want to talk to you. I want to talk to the investigators. I'm sure Sean, and again, I don't know if he's been involved in internal investigations where they accuse you as a police officer of doing anything from stealing to inappropriate behavior with, a person, use of force, whatever. It's not a good feeling. It's completely contrary to what we are as people. This has got to not be a good feeling for you, because it's got to be completely contrary to who you are and what you're all about. By even working in this place, it says a lot for your personal character that you're a caregiver. You're a caregiver. You're not a violent person. You're a caregiver. You take care of these children. Yeah, is it gonna be a perfect world every day you go in? No, they're kids. They aggravate the hell out of their own parents. They'll tell you. I'll tell you. I've got teenagers. It doesn't get any easier. You could be a caregiver for teenagers, and believe me, you think you get aggravated now. Well, you're not too far removed from that to remember how you probably were with your parents. You thought you knew it all, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to tell you, being the senior citizen in this room, you don't know it all, and you don't want to carry a heavy burden on you. Yeah. You don't. You don't want the perception of people thinking that you're manipulative and you're a liar and you have no credibility. And I know you're not. I just think you're worried. I just think you're really deep down inside worried and you're scared. You are. You cannot be scared. You can't be. You're scared. I would be too. You were probably, if you weren't laying awake or rolling around or just thinking about this whole thing for the last couple of days, you're not human. If you went home and you went right to sleep and got up and felt like nothing has happened, you're not human. But I know that's not you. It's got to be bothering you. So when I ask you if you talk to other people in it, it's not because I'm trying to catch you in a lie or whatever. It's because I know you have to express it somehow. Some people have different ways of doing it. Some people internalize. If I get mad at somebody, I don't talk to them. They just know. They can feel it off of me. Other people, they externalize. They go off on you. They really tell you how it is. It all depends on how you handle it. But an incident like this, you're desensitizing yourself a little bit now because you're almost thinking in your mind, God, this really didn't happen. This is not happening. You know what? It's like waking up, and I don't know if you drink or whatever, but it's like waking up from a 4-day drunk at some point. It just hits you like a ton. Oh my God. And then for you to come back to us in 3-4 days, whatever, it's just not going to work, because at that point now, we're not going to believe anything that you say. That's why we're asking, that's why we went there this morning. That's why we got you this morning. We took everybody. We want to clear the air, and we want to know now, because now it's credible. In a few days, it's not going to be credible.
Okay. To be honest, I have yelled, said not nice, but he was sitting up, and he just drops, and I heard him hit his head.
Where?
On the carpet, though. But
on the carpet or on the tile?
On the carpet.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of times he's done that when we say no, not nice, and he will get upset. He was sitting straight up, and he would fall. He would seriously fall completely and hit his head.
Calusinski is trying to come up with some type of excuse that will satisfy the detectives, but nothing is working.
And what, did he get upset after he hit his head?
Yeah.
You start crying?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what time he hit his head?
No, I don't.
Kind of approximate, maybe?
Yeah.
Was it?
Probably sometime in the afternoon before. ahead of time before they had snack, maybe.
Okay.
Because he's like,
And what was it? I mean, I know you were saying that you guys have like reading, you have playtime. What event was it during?
there was nothing going on. It was just playtime.
Okay.
Because like when he got up from nap, I saw him. He was awake. Picked him up. I was like on the recliner, the rocking chair.
Right.
Just hanging out with him, and like we were being silly or whatever. And I know later out throughout the day, he did something to a point probably where we would like say no, not nice, and he took it very, very hard.
Did you say would that be you and Nancy or just you?
Well, Grundy was in there too.
Grundy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was after nap.
So what was he sitting on the floor?
He was sitting on the floor.
And can you? I mean, how fast or hard did he fall back?
Like boom, like really fast. Like he would, like how he would throw himself. Like
And he threw himself backwards.
He threw himself backwards, really hard.
And did he start screaming or crying?
Yes,
He did.
He did.
Okay.
Who was in the room?
Me and Wendy.
Okay. How did you guys calm him down? Did he calm himself down, or
he calmed down, but then we put him in the little chair where he usually goes.
So you just picked him up and put him in that chair?
Yeah, we picked him up, and then we were like, you're okay, and he stopped crying once we picked him up, though, and then we put him in the chair.
And then what did you do in the chair?
He was fine. After that, he was just sitting there. He was playing or just moving around, whatever, had his eyes open, everything.
Can I ask you, why didn't you just tell us that to begin with?
I wasn't thinking straight because like I said, I am nervous. I've never been in a situation like this, so it's very hard.
The detectives will use the fact that Calusinski didn't tell them about this immediately to say that she isn't trustworthy, and they will continue to press the point until she implicates herself further.
We understand that. That's fine. But we just want to know, make sure that there's nothing else that you decide not to tell us and we have to drag out, because every time we have to pull stuff out or make you know that we're going to find out that you were there, or we're going to find out. I promise you.
I just don't want to lose my job.
Don't worry about your job.
You know what?
With the town. Like, there's nothing that I feel
Listen.
like I'm blamed.
Look, what did he tell you from the beginning? We're not looking to put blame on anyone. We're looking to find out what happened.
What happened.
Right. And by not telling us 100% the truth, then yeah, people are instinctively going to blame you. They're going to point the finger at you because of the time, the location. You know what I'm saying? You're there. It's not like there were 50 people in that room with you. Okay? And I know how important your job is, and I know how important your career is. I mean, you have laid out in your mind what your career is going to be, right? You're doing the right thing. You said it yourself that every time something had occurred that was in it, that you reported it, okay? Maybe this time you didn't because, oh my God, yeah, you're a responsible person. And you don't want people to point the finger of blame on you saying you are irresponsible, okay? This time the injury was more serious than you could tell. You don't have X-ray vision. So you didn't do anything, okay? Like I told you about that story with the ER doctor. Didn't identify, didn't see right away, sent the child home. I mean, you're not even a doctor, okay? What Sean is saying is that we want to make sure that that's all that happened. Seriously, because if Wendy tells us something contrary, because she saw this, right? Okay.
Yeah, when he threw himself down.
Okay. And
Threw himself down from where?
And on the carpet.
Where was he?
When he threw himself down.
In the center of the room.
Was he
standing?
No, he was sitting up like crisscross.
Sitting on the floor or on the chair?
Sitting on the floor.
In the final phase of the interrogation, detectives solidify the confession by having Melissa recount how she harmed the child. The emotional strain on her is palpable, and while she admits to her actions, it's clear that she doesn't fully understand the legal and moral weight of her statements. The psychological tactics used in this case, particularly with someone of Melissa's intellectual capacity, raise important questions about the reliability of her confession. Forensic experts would likely scrutinize this confession closely considering Melissa's cognitive impairments and the coercive nature of the interrogation. The role of false confessions in similar cases is a topic of ongoing debate, particularly in cases involving suspects with intellectual disabilities.
And he flung himself back.
He flung himself back.
When his head hit, can you describe what kind of action it made? Show me with your hand.
Like, you just hear like a loud clunk.
Did his head bounce off of the carpet?
I couldn't tell.
Let me ask you this, and this is one of the most important questions you're going to answer. After everything happened and he was taken to the hospital, did you and Wendy ever talk about, do you think he hurt himself from when he hit his head? Never?
And other times though, he's done that, but not as hard. He has hit him, he's thrown himself.
He started crying right away?
Yeah.
And who picked him up?
I believe Wendy did. It was me, Wendy, and Nancy. That's what I remember.
Nancy was there too?
Yeah, it could have been Wendy or Nancy. I'm still clueless, but he did do that.
Think about it. Who was with you?
Really important.
Okay. I'm gonna say Wendy, maybe,
And did Gwen pick him up?
and put him in his chair.
Okay. And did Gwen say anything to you after she picked him up and put him in his chair? Okay. Did you think he had hit his head hard enough to cause some kind of serious injury? All the time we've been talking, did you feel that may have been what caused this? Yes? Okay. And you were reluctant to tell us why?
I wasn't thinking about it, thinking that, maybe when I stepped out of the room, he could have.
Well, you just told me you said you were worried about your job.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. You want some more water or a bathroom break or anything? All right. We're gonna take a little bit of a break, okay? Okay.
Let me explain here. Is what we did here. We got a team. One of our teams is with a physician who specializes, in these types of injuries. He can look at the parameters of an injury, and based on the autopsy, that was performed yesterday. Do you know how an autopsy works?
They search and find.
They do
like an examination or try to find out.
Without getting into graphic details, they basically dissect the body. Okay.
Autopsies are not always accurate, since human error is unavoidable. This is one of the reasons it is so important that the defense has access to everything, so that a second opinion might come up with something that has been overlooked.
And they look at every aspect of the body, from bruising. They photograph, they look at bruising. They run blood toxicology for drugs. When it comes to cranial injury, a head, they'll of course look at the skull. They look at the size of the brain. They measure it. They weigh it. Have you ever seen photographs of what something looks like, underneath flesh, where it's bruised or there's a clot?
Yeah.
Okay, it's very prominent.
Okay.
The entire process is very, very exact. They've been doing it for years. Okay, and I'm not going to go into forensics 101 with you with an autopsy, but they're able to tell down to the minute detail the extent of the injury, what could cause it, what couldn't cause it. The brain sits in a liquid mass. Okay, so when a person gets a concussion, you heard that term, what happens is the brain swells and there's fluid around the brain and it expands, and that's why it makes your head really ache. Okay, literally it swells. When the brain is also injured, it can bleed, and in an autopsy, the blood forms at the point of injury, and you can tell based on the bone, the damage, because a skull fracture literally means this bone here is broken.
Broken?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not that easy, especially in an infant or a younger child, to break bone with mild impact because the bone is soft.
Okay.
Okay. So it's very flexible. In fact, the skull hasn't formed, so there's cracks where it floats and it moves. Okay. When you hit something, in your little physics lesson, there's a cause and an action. Okay. So, like if you're sitting in a car and you get rear-ended, what happens? Your body flings forward.
And it goes back.
Correct. It's the same thing the head does in the brain. Okay, when you're hit back a certain way, the head flings forward. Okay, and what does that do? It shifts, and that'll cause bruising on the brain. Point of impact, where the brain gets hit, is really going to be prominent. And again, in the blood shop, we've examined photographs, and so has the doctor. And they've been at the autopsy, and it's obvious that there's an injury to the back of the head. Okay, which is consistent with kind of what you said. However, two things that are inconsistent. The extent of the injury, under no circumstances, can be caused by that minor of an event, falling backwards. Okay. Secondly, the front of the brain is also slightly bruised. So there's a whiplash effect. Thirdly, I made a comment to you somewhere earlier today where I described the fall or the injury being like somebody being dropped from the second floor of a building. That's still the extent of the injury with a second independent opinion from an expert. Okay. So here's what Sean did.
In addition, Wendy doesn't recall him falling down and hitting his head. You were saying that she wouldn't pick him up.
Yeah.
She doesn't recall at all. Not that she doesn't recall, she says it didn't happen.
This one happened.
Okay.
Or it could have happened maybe earlier.
Look, here's what we still believe that. You're right on the cusp of really telling us what happened here. But you're reluctant because you're still scared and you're still worried. And again, please, don't take us as being amateurs at this. We've done it, and we know, we're always careful when we talk to people because we don't want people facilitating stories just to make us happy. It's not. It really isn't. We've done this numerous times. People have told us their most uncomfortable secrets, and they've confided in us. And we know the difference between somebody telling us something. It's almost like a child. If you interview a child, you got to really be careful because they're so impressionable. They'll tell you what you want to hear. Adults sometimes are almost in the same way because I know you want to do the right thing, and I know in your mind you're a smart person. You're still trying to just kind of figure out what's a plausible explanation here. But I just want to keep emphasizing to you that when you tell us something, we can, because of the situation and because of the medical processes involved and the science involved, we can walk out of here and confirm it or tell you, no, that's not what happened. Remember when I told you that every time you do that, it takes a little bit of your credibility away. Okay? Other fact is that, Gwen, okay. Says flat out that it didn't happen. Okay. You're painting yourself in a little bit of a guilty corner here for some reason. Please let me finish. Because you got that far and you told us, yes, something happened. And I'm going to tell you that we do still believe that something happened. But we do believe that the event occurred, again, I'm going to tell you, not intentionally, but out of frustration, out of disappointment, out of something that caused it. Okay? And those are all viable excuses. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, premeditation. You heard that term. You didn't come to work that day with the intent of hurting anybody. You didn't.
Yeah.
Okay? I know that.
Or what might have happened was done out of frustration. You didn't intend on a serious injury to come up. And we know that too, right?
Yeah.
All of us as parents, Sean, and Sean probably even more so than me, because my kids are teenagers now. But I could remember as a father when they were younger getting frustrated. And it wasn't just one thing. It was, they were both only about a year apart, so they're both, they were still young. I mean, they were both kind of growing up at the same time. I didn't have 8 of them to deal with. I only had 2, or I didn't have 4. I had 2. And that was frustrating enough. Trying to load them, unload them, get them in the snow. So I was telling him today that I don't miss these days where trying to get them both in the snowsuits. They're both screaming. They're both this. If one was well, the other one was sick. It kind of multiplies things because here, not only is all that happening, but you've got your personal issues. You're tired. You work. You've got, personal problems. Whatever. All that kind of multiplies, and you lose it at some point. You really just do. Everybody at some point just has it, whatever.
Calusinski did not have a history of losing control around children or being violent. The day Ben died was fairly typical as far as the routine went, and there wasn't anything that might have caused her to lose her temper.
It's not intentional. It's not. It just happens, People just snap, and they come to that point where they boil over, and it happens. We've got this narrowed down to a very, very tight time frame. And there's only one thing here, is that something happened where you got frustrated, aggravated, whatever, and I'm telling you, it was not intentional. It was an accident. But it wasn't him flipping backwards. It wasn't. You know that. We know that. The forensic scientists are telling us that. Wendy tells us that. What you told us didn't happen. Okay? You need to clear the air here and tell us. You really do. And I know you've been sitting here thinking about it. You can't manipulate out of this. You really can't. You just need to come forward and tell us. You really do. Something frustrated you. Something happened. Okay? I know you didn't know the extent of Ben's injury. I know you didn't know that. And it's been eating you up these last few days. I know it has. I mean, I can tell it in your eyes. And you're going like this today. Right? One minute you're feeling like, I'm done with this. And then, we just come back here and we say, look, you're not. You're not, because this is what we found out. This is fact. Okay? You really need to just tell me the truth. Please, no denials. Please.
I know, I'm not. Like I said, that's the only thing I could possibly think of. I never took any frustration out on any of my kids. Ever. I never laid a finger, nothing.
We're not saying
I know.
Melissa, we're not saying it. Okay? We're not saying it. We're saying that perhaps you put him in a chair a little too hard. I mean, he was scrubbed, whatever. He might have hit his head on something. What you're describing to us did not happen. Mathematically, it couldn't have happened, and physics-wise, it couldn't have happened. Something else happened.
We're thinking like something happened, and doing it normally, everything would be fine. Like, if George was a baby and I put him in a chair, he'd go in the chair, he'd go to sleep. But maybe on this instance, maybe the chair rocked back. There was a wall behind the chair. It rocked back, and he tumbled back and hit his head on the ground. There was something that happened, and we know.
Where he was sitting and where I placed him, it was kind of by the changing table and the garbage can. And when I was taking him out, I probably, because I didn't stand behind him, I was on the side grabbing him, and he like chased probably his head on the back of the changing table. That's the side of the changing table. That's the only thing I can think of right now is that he must have hit his head on the changing table, behind the changing table.
You would know if he hit his head or not. This injury was like my partner said, it's like someone getting dropped off a second story. The baby would have started to cry. It would have happened right when this whole thing went down. It would have happened right before it, I think. You would have known, you know exactly when the incident took place. You're making yourself look real bad. We're trying to think that you didn't intend on this injury to happen. You didn't intend on this to happen. But for whatever reason, it did happen. Okay? We need to know, and we need you to tell us, and you need to be honest to help yourself out here. You should be honest with us. What are you most afraid of? Just tell me about this whole situation.
That it could be my fault.
Okay.
I just don't know how.
Okay, but what are you most afraid of if it is your fault?
Everyone won't talk to me.
Who?
Their co-workers.
Co-workers? Why?
I don't know.
You think that they never made a mistake in their life?
I just have a gut feeling it's like it should be my fault. Ever since I got a piece of paper, I just felt like, what did I do wrong? And I've been trying to think thoroughly, and that's why I haven't been able to sleep much, because I'm trying to think, what did I do? Or what did Nancy do?
Right. What are you most afraid of if you did something? That your coworkers won't talk to you?
And then I probably would get a fine or go to jail or something.
Well, Melissa, if you didn't, our goal is if you didn't intend on causing pain or to somebody, we wouldn't want you to go to jail. It's like that whole accident theory. If it was a complete accident, even if it was something out of frustration, and maybe you put him in a chair too hard and the chair flipped over, we need to know, but we need to know now. You're worried about your co-workers? Give me a fucking break. This kid's dead. Fuck your co-workers, okay? I mean...
And your family's always going to be there for you.
Always.
They're not going to think anything less of, because they know you as an individual. They know you as a person. Who the fuck, if these guys, how about this? If they're thinking, if you don't clarify this, then what the fuck do you think your co-workers are going to be thinking this whole time anyways? But if you bring this out, we know. There's no doubt about it. It was an accident. And tell me that they've never erred in judgment. Come on.
That should be the last thing that you're worried about.
Absolutely.
That's the last thing you should worry about. Everything else, like I said, if stuff was an accident or you didn't intend for Ben to get hurt severely, we don't think you did. We thought maybe you got frustrated. Maybe something happened, you dropped. We don't know exactly what, but we know it happened within minutes from the time he went unresponsive, and we know you were the only one in the room, and we know it's something he can't cause by himself. So, Melissa, when this is all said and done, we have to clear this with the state's attorney to say what our opinion is and what happened here, and they're going to ask us, well, is this a person who's sorry for what they did? Is this a person who was cooperative with you? All this stuff's going to come into effect, and we're going to be able to say at the end of this, Melissa was very cooperative with us. She talked to us and she told us the truth. By her telling us the truth, we were able to get some resolution to this case and some closure to the family. We'll go tell the people at your work that if this guy, whatever you want us to tell them, that's the least of your concerns right now. But we know for a fact this happened moments before he lost consciousness, and we know you were the only one in the room. So please tell us what happened. Please don't make us drag everything out of you, because it makes it seem like you're being deceitful to us.
And I took him out, and I watched him. He was at the edge, and I heard his head hit the back of the table, because I didn't fully put him down. It kind of almost slipped when I dropped him, and he hit the chair. And then I heard it. And he didn't. It was fine, though. I made sure that...
The changing table?
No, the wooden chair. Of the wooden chairs.
Like the adult wooden chairs? Or
The
The baby
baby
chair.
chair.
Yeah. They have little straps in them.
They do the back of it.
You have to back them with his head. That's okay. It's all we've been trying to get from you for this whole time. I know you're upset. Okay? I know that you're upset about this, Melissa. But stuff like this happens all the time. You didn't want that intent for this little boy to die, right? And who knows? He could have had some pre-existing condition. You know, who knows? But
when you put him in the chair, were you holding him?
No, I
Okay.
just picked him up.
Where was he when you picked him up?
He was on the floor.
On the floor. And why did you pick him up?
Because I just wanted to put him in there and give him a snack right away.
Okay. And did you drop him? Is that what you said? Or
When I took him out of the chair.
okay, so you put him in the chair to get him a snack,
Yeah,
and then when you picked him up, you dropped him.
I kind of slipped. Yeah.
You slipped.
Yeah.
Okay, and you hit his head on the back of the top part of the chair.
Yeah.
And did he yell or scream?
No.
He didn't do anything.
When he checked his head, it was fine.
Okay.
Later, Calusinski said that she was so tired and afraid that she told the detectives what she believed they wanted to hear, thinking she would be able to recant it later once she had calmed down.
from now on, don't tell us the truth, and everything will be okay. Don't. That's fine.
That's fine.
We
We
understand that you're scared, and we were not lying to you here. We need to know the truth. It's going to help us, okay, Melissa? And promise me one thing, that you won't lie again. And I promise you, we're gonna make things as easy as possible on you, as long as you don't lie to us, okay? Did you drop the baby? Did you slam him on the chair?
He just
He slipped. Why were you afraid to tell us he slipped? Did you slam him on the chair? You sure? You wouldn't do that? He just slipped? In the back, his head hit the back of the chair? Why would he have some brute? Did he hit the ground after that, or what happened after he hit the chair?
he was normal.
No, on his body, so he fell out of your hands?
When I put him down, I took him out of the snack chair, and then I waited to put him up, and then like when I come back, the other chair was behind me, and I wasn't paying attention. He slipped out of my hands, and he hit it.
How far did he slip?
Like a little bit, like right there.
Don't exaggerate it to make it sound better. If it's an accident, it's an accident. You gotta tell us
Right.
exactly, because we're gonna have to be able to prove.
What you're telling us, scientifically, we know what I told you. So you need to really be specific about how he slipped and how far down.
It
So
wasn't that far to a point where it slipped, like he fell off balance, and then he hit his head, and he sat on the floor.
What did he hit his head on?
Wood.
A chair? A back of a chair? And after he hit his head, did he fall onto the floor?
He fell, but he went through the crowd and it was blanket after that.
So he hit his head and then fell to the ground? And how were you standing up when this happened? Were you standing straight up?
Yeah, I was bending. I like was like this, and it slipped.
Yeah. He slipped, then slipped?
Yeah, and
Okay.
then I did like
And how low was the back of the chair?
it was like this tall,
Mm-hmm.
and like when I moved his head like hit back, it was back.
if I show you a picture of the chair, would you recognize it?
The wooden table.
The one on the wooden table that you hit his head on?
He hit his head on a wooden
Table
table.
or a chair?
The chair.
Which one was it?
The chair.
Did you? Hang on. Did you change? Did you change him prior to that?
No,
You didn't.
I changed it before that.
What did you put him in the chair for?
I didn't. The snack.
He was sitting at the snack table, right?
Yeah, regular
You
chair.
took him out of the snack.
When he was done, I took him out, washed him off, and everything else. And when I put him down, that's when I slipped. And it was right there between the tile and
Did
the
you
carpet.
slip, or did he slip out of your hand? Did you actually fall down with him?
I did.
Did you drop him? Okay. Where were you putting them back to? A different chair?
No,
You were bringing them to the floor?
I'll bring them to the floor.
Okay. And was that at the same time while Nancy left the room?
Yeah, she had her back turned.
She had her back
Her
turned?
dishes.
Did he start crying right away? He didn't scream or anything? And then, so you just, after that, what did you do?
I continued my normal routine.
No, what did you do with him? Did you just put him on the floor? And
Did you
then,
put him on the floor or did he roll onto the floor?
He went on the floor.
Okay, after he slips, hits his head on the chair, and then he's on the floor.
He started crawling
Where did he crawl to?
to the other chair recliner to get his blanket and then the spot.
And then after he got there, how long after that did you notice he was starting to kind of look sleepy?
5 minutes later.
is that why you were keeping such a good eye on him? Because you were worried about him hitting his head?
Yeah.
And then that's why you were watching him? So you were watching him real close. Why were you doing that?
I didn't know if it's because that he was showing his pain.
Few people like to admit it, but it is very easy to accidentally drop a child, or, as one of the detectives mentioned earlier, hit its head on a door or wall when turning around. Even when a person is being careful, a wiggling baby and the distraction of other children could lead to the scenario that Calusinski described. Unfortunately, her desperate attempt to save herself only made things worse when the injuries didn't quite match up to her version of events.
And what was the first thing you noticed?
That he wasn't responding, like he just looked really pale.
Okay, can you show her a picture of the chair? You got color? There's only color ones. Here, let me go get one.
So why do you think, just besides the normal fall, why do you think he hit his head so hard? But besides for that, because you lost balance?
He
You did? Was he like flailing in your arms or anything? No? Just you just dropped
I
him?
didn't pay attention.
When we talked to Nancy, is she going to say he was screaming and crying and you were upset with him or anything like that?
No.
Totally not the case.
And she had her back turned. She was doing dishes when this
And
happened.
a couple minutes later is when she left the room. Did you tell anybody that you dropped him at all? Your sister or your boyfriend?
No.
Why not? You're afraid.
All right, sweetheart. I'm going to find chairs. Is that the room?
No.
No. Is this one or this one?
No. No.
No?
That's okay.
All right.
It worked out.
Yeah.
So Nancy's not going to say the last she heard of him, he was screaming and crying while she was washing dishes. He didn't do anything to frustrate you? Was this something out of frustration? Huh? No? How do I know you're telling me the truth?
Because he was fine. I wasn't frustrated. I was just taking him out, trying to hurry and pull out of the chair. I just wasn't paying attention.
What do you mean by not paying attention?
Like where I put him, where I was at.
I mean, I don't understand. Like, did you let go thinking he was secure? Did you let go of him a couple of feet early or something?
Yeah.
Because you were just in a hurry? Because I'm just saying stuff. You tell me you want to know why.
So I cleared that he had his balance and everything. And
So the chair was facing the other way? So he hit the back of it with his head and then he hit the floor?
And he went straight to the head. When I dropped him, the chair was like right there, and he hit his head. And then he just like leaned forward. And then after that,
Did he hit the front of his head when he leaned forward?
No.
But when he hit the back of the chair, when he went down to the ground, did his head hit the ground at any time too?
The forward, no.
So he hit the chair backwards and his body go forward then? It did?
Yeah, when we get something, maybe you can show us exactly, because it's hard to explain, okay? So we're going to use a chair and I'm going to get you something. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So you didn't tell anybody about this? No? If you didn't mean for it to happen, it's okay, okay? People make mistakes all the time.
Just show us how, and we'll use this as a chair.
So what were you doing? Where were you coming from with the baby?
The kitchen, I was like this. And I unbuckled him. And then I heard
And you were
him.
standing in the back of the chair or in front of it?
I was like this.
Up inside, okay?
And I picked him up.
Yeah.
And I was like this.
By having Calusinski reenact what happened, they can have an expert determine if that would have caused enough damage to kill Ben.
And then I took him over to the sink to get his hands washed.
Okay.
And then I'm walking as I dried off his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't think, I slipped from the water or whatever.
So your hands were wet?
A little wet. And then I walked forward a little bit, and there was, on the other side of it, there was a chair. And I put him down, I wasn't even really looking.
Well, pretend this is the actual chair.
This is the chair that I took him.
Okay. Okay.
And then when I put him down, his head went plunk.
No, well, show us. Pretend this is like a foot off the ground.
Well, when I put him down, I wasn't paying attention. I was like this, and then his head went plunk really hard because I dropped him. I lost balance. I just went like that, and then I lost balance because it was on between the tile and the floor.
So you hit his head on the chair, and then you lost balance, and what, flipped out of the chair?
No, when I dropped him,
Right.
his head hit the back of the chair, and I dropped him because it was so I thought he was going to stand.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had almost the formation of standing up. And then when I dropped him, he went like this.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
All right, so you're doing it. Sit down. Just listen. You don't need to convince Sean that you are sorry. Okay? You don't. Your family loves you. They're going to be very supportive. You're doing the right thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sweetie.
I want to see this though again. I'm still
Yeah.
having some difficulty. I'm sorry. I know this is hard, but I gotta understand this fully. Show me exactly and describe everything because I need to get this through my head.
Okay. He was sitting.
Okay, this is a chair.
That's the chair he was in.
Okay.
I'm standing on the side. I unbuckled him. And then I picked him up. I didn't even have him facing me. I took him to the sink, wiped off his hands because he was full of graham crackers or animal crackers. And then after that, I was holding him like that. And then after when I was done, I wasn't even having my eye on him when I dropped him. I went like this, and then he was like this, and then his feet were kind of like this, starting to stand. So I thought he was gonna stand.
And this is on another chair?
No, it was on the floor.
On the floor, okay.
And then he lost his balance when I dropped him because I thought he had
Okay.
it, and his head hit back.
So, let's say this is the floor.
Yeah.
We'll say this is lower. Okay, look at this bar down here. Okay? So he slips and he falls back and he hits his head on the chair like that. Is that it?
And then what happens to his body?
And then he just like,
Show us what the...
So here, this is the chair. He hits his head on the edge of the chair.
yeah.
Right? Slips and hits it.
And
Okay.
then he leans forward,
Uh-huh.
and then after that, he sits back up, and then he walks toward, he's crawling on hands and knees to get his blanket, and that was it, right next to his spot.
He didn't fall again.
No.
So you put him down on the ground,
Yeah.
and you thought...
He had his balance.
Did you drop him before his feet hit the ground?
No.
Very important. Tell us that.
Did you?
Yeah, no. It was like tiptoe. Like,
Tiptoe?
yeah.
So his head fell back like that?
He hit the
Did he go forward then like that at all? He caught himself? Because that doesn't seem like enough force to cause this.
And that's what happened. He hit his head. And I tried.
How hard did he hit his head?
I heard like, yeah.
Did the chair move at all?
No.
Okay.
So, how long after that happened did she go out of the room?
It was like a minute later. And she didn't hear nothing because she had her back towards the room. She had her back towards, she wasn't facing it. She was doing the dishes. So it was like, I wasn't even paying attention when I dropped him. Because I had to get the other kids out.
But you thought he was on his feet and you let go of him? Or did you drop him before his feet hit the ground? Did you think he was on the ground?
Yeah.
So his feet weren't on the ground? No?
Calusinski is making it up as she goes along. But even if she was being honest, one detail out of sequence or misremembered would make it look like she was lying.
It's okay. But you gotta tell us this. How high off the ground do you think he was?
This is all going to make sense.
Like this much.
Don't exaggerate stuff to think that it's gonna make your story better, because it'll make it worse. Tell me exactly.
It wasn't that much up.
So you thought he was on the ground and you let go? Is that what happened?
And he fell like that and hit the back of his head.
Because he was like leaning, he wasn't like leaning forward. He was sitting up, like, he was like up like this, like straight up. And like when he fell back, I heard him hit his head, I did. And then he just like went, like he like swung a little bit forward onto the floor. And then he was like that, and sat back up. And then he just crawled to his blanket, and that was it.
And then when he got to his blanket, you were still keeping an eye on him.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He crawled to the chair, to the spot, and I was like keeping an eye on him. And then his sister and another kid was by him, and he was trying, they were cleaning everything. And then all of a sudden, like a second later, you just see him stiff and pale, and I called him, and no response. So I went to him, and I was like, Ben, he didn't wake up or anything. I shook his arm, like I said, and then I went to get the phone, and Crystal heard me, and that's like she came in, and I still was on the phone, saying that I need help. And then Crystal said, Beth, I need you in here, like right away.
And you didn't tell Crystal what really happened?
No.
Because we got two guys, we don't want to find out that she knows all about this.
Yeah.
And that you lied to us.
You didn't tell anybody. You just talked to your boyfriend about it.
No, she's kidding.
You didn't tell anybody.
I didn't tell
They're not in
anybody.
trouble if you did.
I know.
It'll actually give us some,
Yeah, no, I didn't.
witnesses to your story.
Yeah, no, I kept it to myself.
So, we're not going to find out that this wasn't, your story is impossible. Is this the truth?
It is.
It is? So he wasn't quite on the ground?
No.
You thought he was? You let go? Did he hit the back of his ankles and fall back, or did his back just start falling back right
No,
away?
he hit the back of his ankle.
And then he hit at the back of his head so hard, he came forward right away? Okay.
Are these the types of chairs, like in that bottom picture?
Yeah.
That's it?
It was
What did he hit it on the armrest or the back part?
The back part of this chair, because it was the kids they don't know how to push out, and it was at the edge. Because like here was the chair, right around here, and the chair was pushed out, and it was moved from the kids, and that's when he hit it.
Is that the table in the room?
Yeah.
That is the table? Okay. Can you just do me a favor and circle the table and the chair and just put your initials next to it?
So you didn't slam him for doing anything wrong?
No.
Huh? Would you do something like that?
Never.
Never?
Never.
So this was clear that you just weren't paying attention, you thought he was on the ground? I just want to make sure, because, there's been a couple of stories, I want to make sure this is your final one. That's why I was asking you if you told anybody. Okay. Give us a minute, okay? Everything's going to be all right in the future. You're going to be happy that you got this off your chest, okay? Give us a second. Melissa, the chair, when his head hit the chair, where was the chair in relation to the table?
It was moved away from the table.
And what happened to the chair after his head hit it?
And nothing, we just heard a loud move.
It didn't move, the
It
chair?
kind of wiggled, and that was it.
It wiggled?
Yeah.
Are the chairs real heavy?
No.
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 It just wiggled?
Yeah, because it was on between the tile and the carpet. It was on like
The chair?
Yeah, the chair. There's like a curve where that stick of it was standing on it, and when you hit it, the thing wiggled.
What kept the chair from falling back and just hitting the top of it?
The weight
The weight of what?
of the entire chair, the bottom of it, it wasn't light at all. It was probably heavier. It was heavier than the top part.
How heavy do you think the chair is? I mean, is it a heavy chair to pick up and move?
Mm-hmm.
Or you just think the weight kept it from moving? Okay. Do you think he weighed more than the chair? Okay. Was the chair, the legs, is it 4 legs, or is it, did you say half of them were on the wood and half was on the tile and half was on the carpet?
There was the center part, and right there was a line where the tip of it was at, where, it can wiggle. And when he hit it, it moved, but it moved back.
The chair moved back?
It has only been a handful of minutes since Calusinski described dropping Ben, and the detectives are already finding weak points in her story.
So, if this was the chair,
Yeah.
he hit it. It has 4 legs going to the ground. Are all the legs on carpet?
No, they weren't. The 2 legs were on the tile, and then the other 2, it's like, it was like sideways, in other words, like this. And, I was like this actually, because, like, the chair and everything, the blanket, was where he was trying to go at. And, like, when he dropped them, I wasn't paying attention, and then this was, like, on the rubber part to cover the ceiling or whatever, the round of the cement and the carpet, and like he hit it and the thing like it went like it
Okay.
wiggled.
Okay. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. We talked to the doctor. The pathologist is here, does the autopsies and does all the measurements, and we've got a couple of concerns about how far then fell, and the chair, whether it was stationary, solid. Okay.
It was on the corner of the rubber, and where we split in the carpet, the tile in the threshold, the whole, and one leg was on it, and then it was the little thing.
No, that's not what. He's just wondering, like where you dropped the baby from, how high the baby was off the ground. The chair was pulled off from the table, you said?
Yeah, they pushed it out.
Mm-hmm.
And when I dropped him, he was like this much.
You mean that bottom of his legs or where your hands were? The bottom of his legs were? Mm-hmm. So he fell 2 feet to the floor?
And that, okay, so it was a little higher than what you told us. The bottoms of his feet were about, it looks like about a foot and a half off the ground, so the top of his head was probably about 3 or 4 feet. Okay. And did the chair move when you hit it?
It moved back.
The chair did?
It moved on his head.
Okay.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna bring that chair over here, and then the doctor, either over here, or they're gonna bring the chair to the doctor, and he's gonna make sure that this is possible, because they can tell exactly if that's what caused
Melissa Calusinski's interrogation is a disturbing example of how high-pressure interrogation tactics can lead to confessions, especially when the suspect may not fully understand the implications of their statements. Throughout the process, detectives subtly shift from creating a friendly environment to applying psychological pressure, ultimately resulting in Melissa's confession. Forensic experts and legal analysts would likely question the validity of this confession, considering the circumstances and Melissa's cognitive limitations.